Welcome to my shop. When it comes to cutting mortises, there's plenty of ways to achieve that. When it comes to breadboard ends, my preferred method is to go ahead and use a router table, and I'll show you that. Before we go over there, I'm going to come up to this whiteboard right here and kind of explain a little bit of what the difference is with a breadboard end mortise and what the purpose of that is. Here's my diagram of a panel with the breadboard end on top. Our grain direction is running this way. And these tenons are part of the panel. The grain direction on the breadboard end is running this direction. So seasonally, this panel will move in this direction, across here. So when we make these mortise and tenon, we're leaving some room for this panel to move inside that mortise. Starting at the center, we're going to put one long tenon, and then depending on the width of your panel, you can have as many of these as you feel that you need. Typically, a lot of them will have 3 for a narrow panel. So we've got the 2 tenons on the end. Now this tenon will run this length through here and stop before it gets exposed on the ends. You could leave it exposed. I prefer not to. So part of what a lot of people don't understand on these is that this mortise and tenon has to allow for this panel movement back and forth. So whatever you do not want to glue the full length of this. You'll glue this middle tenon in, and from that point there, you'll have wood movement this direction and this direction, so you're allowing on the 2 ends for that movement this way. These get pinned in through the board this direction, so it locks all this together. Again, this middle part can get glued in, but these want to float. That these end tenons are cut to accept that pin, but allow movement left and right inside there. So if you decide to go ahead and glue this all the way across, what will happen is you'll probably end up getting splits in your wood somewhere in the process of seasonal movement. So that's a basic rundown on what we're trying to achieve with this joint. So this is my homemade router table. I've got a Craig lift on it. Got a 1/4 inch down spiral. Got a 1/4 inch down spiral bit on it to pull as many chips downward as I can. What I've done on my fence is I've got replaceable panels I can put in here. I can go ahead and put one in if I want to do a 0 clearance on a shaped router bit or whatever, so I can replace these, throw them away or whatever. So the first thing we want to do is I'm using 3/4 inch material, and I want this bit as close to center as I can. It's not real important to be exact on this, because the way I run these, my mortise will be centered in that board. And if you've watched any of my other videos, for example, the thickness planer using the positive stops, that helps with any of these processes, because I know most of my boards are going to be the same dimension regardless. So anyway, to find the center of this, I've got a 1/4 inch bit. I want the center of a 3/4 inch board. So center from here to here would be 3/8 of an inch plus an additional 1/8 to make up half of the diameter of the bit. So that would bring me to a 1/2 inch. And I want to find a spot on here that's going to set me up to 1/2 inch. We'll bring that in. I don't have fine tune on this. Gonna lock it down. The next thing we're going to do, so you may not be able to do this on your router table. If you can't mark this side of it, there is a way. I'll show you. You can mark this side with tape. What this is going to do is reference the bit from the back to the front. We're going to bring that line all the way up, both sides. So we know where our bit. Now if you can't do this with your fence because there's a gap in there or something, or you just can't mark on it, what you can do, you can do the same thing with a piece of tape on the table. Set you a piece of tape across there. Mark your stop and start. Just like that. I've already marked out on this board where my 3 tenons are, center and 2 outside. And this is where I'm going to stop and start for the most part. Now initially, we'll run this full length from one end to the other through here, and I'm going to bring this in about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch deep, and then we'll come in and we'll finish out each individual up to an inch deep. Using this process, you want to take these passes in increments of about 1/8 of an inch and bring it on up to the height that your final height. Now, a word of caution, as you do this, I like to cut my breadboard ends a few inches longer, or at least 2 inches longer on each end to give me better control over this. I don't like my fingers real close. This bit will be sticking up about an inch by the time you're done. But it's real imperative that you maintain control as you drop this on here and move it forward and lift it back off. If you let go of it at any point, especially when your bit is picked up higher, you're going to have that unsatisfactory results. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this across here, stop at that line, pick it up. You're going to turn it around and do the same thing before you change that height of that bit, and run this side. That's what keeps this centered in that board. So with that, we'll go ahead and we'll speed it up, and I'll run a board through here. We'll pick it up, and you'll see as I get beyond the point, we'll be doing this 3 times here, dropping it in, moving it, And then we're going to turn it around and do the same thing. We'll pick up the bit 1/8 of an inch at a time until we get to our desired height. I hope this is useful to somebody out there that's interested in doing some breadboard ends. I'm not really good at explaining things, but hopefully I give you a direction to go with the reason why we have the extended section of tendon and mortise run through the end of the board to help keep cupping or anything happening in that board, and the explanation of not gluing this. Some glue in the very center is good, but you need to pin these in tight and let this board move with seasonal movement, and your project will be a little bit more successful and hopefully hang around for several generations of people to enjoy it. So glad you joined me, and if you liked it and was informative, just give me a like, maybe subscribe, and I'll put out a video with gluing up a panel and then putting all this together. Thanks for watching.